get out of here and enjoy these long days. Are amazing. So we are live. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's July 18th at 7 p.m. This is the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee. Like I said, this beautiful evening. We have a little bit of a few things to decide today and get organized. So we should have a very productive meeting once. So now that the meeting has been called to order, can we look at the agenda to see if there's anything to add or edit? Under fundraising strategies, I would like to add 7.4 with the partnership with or support from the Swans, the Springfield Swans. So I just got an email, I think yesterday, about that. So if that's okay, we'll put that under 7.4. Also with the Swan 7.5 is a potential of support for an online auction if we wish. We can talk about that. If there are no other changes, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Me? Seconder, okay. All in favor? We need to do the call. Okay, go ahead, Catherine.
Amaryllis Drouillard.
Yes.
Pete Barber.
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin.
Yes.
Jamie Chapman.
Yes.
Kay Haynes.
Yes.
Jim Jenkins.
Yes.
Councillor Jaguar.
Yes.
7-0, the motion is carried.
We have
Did I miss?
someone else.
Oh,
Yes. Welcome, Bridget.
I'm so sorry. I had some technical issues. My apologies.
No worries. You found us.
I did.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Want to take her
sure. Did you join us in time to hear we're voting on the approval of the agenda?
Oh, I've read the agenda. I didn't hear what you had said, but I have read the agenda.
And do you approve?
I do.
All right, wonderful. 8-0, the motion is carried.
Perfect. Great. Welcome, Bridget. If I can interrupt the agenda, just to take a moment to, I guess, officially welcome you. And I don't know if I can put you on the spot just for a brief moment so you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hi. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dominique. I'm happy to be here. My name's Bridget Clark Carmichael, and I live in Vienna. I joined because unfortunately recently my grandfather passed away about a month ago, and he was living in a private care home, in which not that I don't support, but of course I support a municipal run building, and I believe in the vision and the comfort from home. So I'm look forward to giving what I can.
Wonderful. Thank you again I'm sure there are many committees out there and many opportunities to volunteer. So we're very pleased that you chose this particular group. We're a fun bunch, and as you know, it's a good cause, and we're happy to have representation from the East. So that's great. Okay, so back to the agenda. Our next item is the adoption of minutes. Our last meeting was on June 20th. I will assume that everybody had a chance to review the minutes. Any errors or omissions? Anyone noticed anything that needs to be changed? And if not, I'll accept a motion to adopt the minutes as provided. Dan? And the vote.
Amaryllis Drouillard.
Yes.
Pete Barber.
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin.
Yes.
Jamie Chapman.
Yes.
Kay Haynes.
Yes.
Jim Jenkins.
I was not present at the meeting, so I will abstain.
All right. Bridget Clark Carmichael.
Yes.
Councillor Jaguar.
Yes.
7-1, the motion is carried.
Thank you, Catherine. Next item, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Anything to declare from anyone for tonight's discussion? Seeing none. We don't have any delegations this evening, so we'll move on to briefings. So it's time to hear from Jennifer for the donation update. It was
Good
a
evening, everyone, and Madam Chair. Through you to the committee, we have an update on the fundraising portal of a $44 increase since the last report to you on June the 20th. And from there, at that time, I received the instructions that you would like to have seen the overall fundraising campaign goal to change so that it would be more reflective of where you were as a whole. So hopefully the third line on the second page at the bottom, that there's 21%, 38%, 45% for a total overall campaign total of 47%. Hopefully that is what the committee was expecting to see going forward, but if not, we can certainly revisit that next month. And there was no significant changes in expenses or purchases in capital for this month. So if there's any questions, happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Jennifer. And yes, thank you for that small adjustment in how the numbers and the percentages are presented. So that gives us a really clear picture of where we're at in the big picture and the picture as well. So thank you for that. So yes, quiet month. This is the calm before the storm. We're about to rev up, I hope, with our donations as we start getting out there and connecting again with the community. Any questions, comments about the report for Jennifer?
Speed, I just have a quick comment that the showing the percentage based on the whole of the campaign is much more positive, and it's a good move.
Yes, it does put the big picture in perspective, and it's kind of nice right now to be able to say we're halfway through the campaign and kind of halfway through in terms of our goal. So I agree, and that was part of the reason to put it there in black and white so that we can see that we are doing well. So yes, thank you for noting that, Pete. Other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to receive the report. Jamie, seconder? Okay, as I happen to be looking at you. And Catherine.
Amaryllis Juilliard,
Yes.
Pete Barber,
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin,
Yes.
Jamie Chapman,
Yes.
Kate Haynes,
Yes.
Jim Jenkins,
Yes.
Bridget Clark Carmichael,
Yes.
Councillor Jiguer.
Yes.
8-0, the motion is carried.
Thank you. So moving on to funding strategies. So the main focus right now is the decisions and the plan around the attendance of various events. So thank you for responding with your availability to various events. Yep.
If you need extra help with shed-in as well, you can put me in there, slip me in there too.
Yeah.
I have more availability for there than Wallacestown.
Right. Oh, yes, because you would be less hands-on.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, right. It's easy for me, so Rodney and Shedden, and then some availability for Wallacestown.
Yeah. So we'll probably be able to finalize the specific schedules at each event as we get closer to each event. But based on all the responses, I'm just looking at the spreadsheet right now. The good news is that we do have, suggestions like, yes, I can be available for all of the events that we had identified. So I think we'll be able to kind of refine who will attend what at what time, if that's okay with everyone. I think with the exception, I should say that which one was this? The Heritage Farm Show, September 3rd. We didn't have any at the Back Page House. We didn't have any volunteers for that, and because I think it's
Do that
also
with me too.
What day of the week is it?
September 3rd. So I believe that's the long weekend.
Mhm.
That's the Labor Day, maybe the Labor Day weekend.
I usually help them out with that event, but I
It's a
haven't had people.
Saturday. Yeah, I can't do anything until after
Mhm.
4.
So, and Catherine, do you remember if that one has, yeah, it does have a $25 registration.
I think so, and we may attend, our summer student may be attending that event, but it's not confirmed yet that they're attending. But it is on their list of consideration. So yes, $25 for the Heritage Farm Show.
And the other update from the list that I circulated with the committee was that I believe, Catherine, correct me if I'm wrong, but the BAM Beach Fest is not happening. It's just the fireworks.
Just fireworks.
Right, so there won't be any events where there would be a booth. We won't have a booth there, so we won't need any volunteers for, I think we tentatively had put July 30th and 31st. So the other events, like I said, it sounds like they're happening, and it sounds like we'll be able to cover most days. So what are your thoughts on the Heritage Farm? Do you think you might be able to attend? You're saying?
Yeah, I might be able to attend.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to go both days all day or anything, but I think I.
Is it a 2-day event
Yeah,
or
it
1 day?
appears to be
Yeah.
one day.
It's
It's actually, it's really cool little show that they have.
Yeah,
Yeah, I usually volunteer.
okay,
So is it the 3rd and the
I'll
4th?
find out what Angela needs me to do and when she needs me to do it, and
yeah.
that'll come.
So maybe, and you're saying maybe the students,
Possibly. That was
Might
on the
be
list
there.
that I was sent from tourism, but it said not confirmed in brackets. So
right,
I
okay.
don't know if it has something to do with, depending on when the student finishes to go back to school.
Right,
Sometimes they finish on the Friday before Labor Day. Sometimes they're able to work out the Labor Days.
okay,
And if there's Sunday, I can do the 4th.
you could do the 4th.
Yeah, I can't do the Saturday.
Okay, well, we'll keep it on the list then, because it
Yeah.
sounds like we'll be able to figure something out. And I figure by then, if we have all of our materials and, you know, we know what we're doing, then we might as well, for $25, I think it would be worth doing another.
And I might
No.
speak to Angela and see when she has, because the dignitaries is always a big pull.
Right,
That's when you see lots of folks coming in to see what they're, whatever. So if I can find out when some of the high times are,
right, okay,
the high traffic times, then I'll get that to you.
great.
And it does look as if it is both the Saturday and the
Oh,
3rd and the 4th.
so it's 2 days, so maybe.
And I don't know where it is.
Right, yeah, so we'll do
Yeah.
this very specific. Jim?
Dominique, I cannot hear what you're saying. It doesn't come through very clearly.
Okay.
So what are you talking about?
Do you want to move?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Move one of the pods, one of the microphones a little closer. Is this better?
That's a bit better, yes.
Move it really close. So yes, we're looking at the list of events that we had circulated earlier this month to see.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, just to see if we have enough availability to go ahead and register for everything on the list. And it
Mhm.
sounds like we can and we should register for all events, with the exception of BAM Beach Fest, because it's not happening, not because we don't have availability, but I think they will be limited just to the fireworks that weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, then, everybody else okay? Is the sound okay for Tanya, Pete? Yeah. Okay. So yes,
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I'm also available on that long week, the September. So if there is a time when,
oh, nice.
you know, you need to call on me, feel free.
Nice, thank you. Um,
There's a beautiful walking trail there too.
Okay, so.
And Dominique, did you get my list that I sent in to you, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, I heard from, I think I heard from everyone. So like
Okay.
I said, at least it got us just able this evening to decide whether to register or not, and then we can fine tune the details. Because some of you, like we may have, be able to divvy up differently so you don't have to attend for everything that you volunteered. But if you want to, by all means, I think it will be fun for the committee as well. So a couple more decisions to make. Because we brainstormed quite a few ideas at our last two meetings. So now it's time to finalize and say what we want to go ahead with. We talked about fridge magnets or, bookmarks. And I think we have, I'll have to pull it up, and I don't know if you know it by heart in terms of what the quote was, the amount was. I can pull it up. And, yeah, okay. So we looked into fridge magnets, we looked into catalog, just having a few copies, like not for distributing, but just for people to view, and then we'll be able to keep those afterwards. And a banner, like a flag of some sort that we can put at the booth, and bookmarks. So I do have a quote from Aylmer Express, and they have offered to, I'd have to do the total, so I'll just circulate this. I have a few copies if you want to pass this around. And I think for those online, because I literally received this an hour ago. Oh, I'm sorry, Jane. Whoops, for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I didn't even do the math in terms of what the grand total would be, but they've offered to cover 50%. And I know there's difference in prices, whether we go for 1,000 or 2,000 magnets, for example. But it does seem very reasonable, particularly like things like the flag and the catalog. Like once it's designed, then there will be things that we will keep and we will have for any events, like even for indoor events. The flag you can use, I think it has a bit of a tripod, like
The rest of the campaign.
So for the entire campaign, so that might be worthwhile. So I'll come back with, if somebody wants to do the math on the side, well, to see if we were to look at 1,000 at most, let's say, of bookmarks, and I think we should choose between a bookmark or a fridge magnet, whichever you think would have the most value. And
The magnet cost that we had for the Optimist Club, and it looked like a business card.
Yep.
It was $135 for 500 of them. So about $270 per 1,000 of them.
So they were cheaper than these.
So a bit cheaper, yes. And so the only difference, so just to get a comparison, I asked Aylmer Express if it would be a little bit more customized, where it'd be rounded, maybe like closer to our logo.
Yeah,
And so that gives us an option.
and it's
Plus
also,
it's 50%.
it's also, they have done so much for us.
Yes.
That it would be giving back a little bit, because if they found out we did the magnets from Vistaprint,
Yeah.
it would not sit well with them. I can tell you that very clearly. So sometimes you have to
Yeah.
butter the other side.
Yes, but it was good to have a comparison to that,
Yes.
that we know this is a very reasonable quote, plus if we're looking at a 50% donation from Aylmer Express, then it becomes even more reasonable. So let me put that to you first, in terms of if we're still in agreement that some sort of giveaway would be beneficial, and we could pace ourselves. Let's say we do 1,000 and we're going to 5 events. We just do a quantity per event, and when, we can say if we're there 2 days, we'll give a couple hundred like on that day, and then when they're gone, because I don't think it's critical. It's not, the reason for the booth, to be there or not, right? Jim?
Yes. With stainless steel appliances, is there that much of a demand for fridge magnets now? Since they won't work on a stainless steel appliance.
They won't?
Well, they do on mine.
They don't on ours, so
Oh, no.
anyway, okay, just a question.
Okay, so I guess it depends. I mean, the interesting thing they work on, if you still have like computers on, your like a desktop computer or different places in the house. So, but that's a good point. Maybe they're not as popular as they used to be.
It'd be unreasonable to do both,
Yeah.
to have an option there of which they would like to take along with them, because some people would like a bookmark and some
That's true.
would like the other. And then that way we can have our 2,000, but in 2 different ways.
Right, so 1,000 bookmarks and 1,000 fridge magnets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anyone do the grand total? Like, if we were to buy everything, the banner, perhaps not the water bag, we might be able to.
90 and
Dominic, what about the posters that we had made for when we first started?
Yeah.
Put those on an easel back behind us rather than buy a banner?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have I think it's 2.5 by 2.5, that square. That's even bigger than the poster. And I would say that would be part of the plan. We could even have the check, like a blank check on an easel. And if somebody were to, make or want to take a picture with the check. So yeah, I would say we should have 2 easels with the big square and the check. And we can have a few posters there too. And perhaps somebody wants to bring one in their workplace and promote it, or bring one to their church. So I would, we could use those sparingly, because you're right, we haven't used those up. Yeah, and the banner, the flag is, the intent is to add like a visual, like some movement, because outdoors, like if it sort of the little trick of like the stores.
Try. Yeah.
Yeah, to catch people's attention. So the grand total is 572
Roughly,
after the 50%?
roughly. Some of it I rounded up, but that's without the extra artwork, which shouldn't be too much.
Yeah, and we can probably do, I think the extra art, is extra. What they mean by that, if I recall from my email exchange with them, is the photos of all the items. So if we source that ourselves for the catalog, then, and some of them, I think Tanya can get from manufacturers, or, do you know what I mean? So it won't be the design. I think they've included the design. So, okay, so what's on the table right now is a potential investment of about, say, $600 to round it up. For how many events? About, is it 6? 2, 4, 5, 6?
Plus the fee to go.
Plus the fee.
So they're roughly $25 each.
Yeah.
So there's another 150, so 750 plus taxes.
So I would say, from my perspective, at a minimum, we must break even in terms, like, collect like get $750 in donations, because I figure if we don't get any, I wouldn't expect any large donations at an event, but the awareness, I think, is the key, like the value of reaching out to people who don't necessarily are, get the newspaper, who don't necessarily use social media. So to me, it would be an investment as long as, as long as you think, let's say we're averaging $150 of cost per event. Do you think in a couple of days with, even like cash, like a box with cash donations, and I think we'll be set up to accept credit card donations. Do you think we can recover that? Do you think that's a fair gamble?
It's not very much, so hopefully.
Okay, so I don't know if you could hear that. So Jamie seems reasonable. Doesn't seem very much like to shoot to, at a minimum, collect $150 in donations per event, which would cover our costs. What do others think? Are you willing to take the chance? Jim, what are your thoughts?
Yes,
Yeah, do you think it looks like attending each event would cost about $150, and the goal at a minimum would be to break even. Do you think we should be able to solicit at least $150 in donations at one
well, I
event?
would say you could use this year as a training situation, and if it works, then we do it again next year.
Great.
I really don't know. We'd have to be there to try and see.
Yeah.
But it's worth a try.
Okay, other thoughts? Pete or Bridget, from your experience of, I don't know if you've attended events, and I have, but not in a fundraising capacity. So I've done similar events like to promote. And you can usually get good conversations going. Jamie?
I was just wondering how we would take payment. Because we might not have internet access, so are we going to have a form they could fill out? Or, because they're not going to be carrying cash with them.
Correct. So
Well, they
Yeah.
may, but they're not gonna have a check in their pocket. And if we don't have debit, then we need some sort of form for them to fill out, and maybe with credit card or whatever, so that we can get payment.
So I believe, Catherine, do you want to comment?
Yes, I am going to be reaching out to our IT department to see if there are any iPads with data available. I can't confirm at this time, but just to see if there are any available that could be signed out by the committee for the weekend and then returned to the county and then signed out again at the next event.
Perfect.
Where maybe we would be able to have our website up and then
And just fill it.
donations.
Yes, that's what I was hoping we could.
Directly.
And even if there's a laptop there with something going all the time, it would be great.
Yeah.
If we have, do we have the reel yet going at the nursing home of the donors?
At the home, no, but on the website.
So could we make it so that was playing, so they could see who's already donated?
Yeah. That we, I know electricity, and that was, and we'll come back to that. Electricity is sort of a bit of a gamble. So I think my suggestion, based on what we've heard, and some of them have additional fees if you need power. And I'm thinking with managing weather, like if things are wet or, and carrying, like I'm picturing this kit that we'll need to have. So my suggestion would be to minimize any electronics. So I think the iPad And I believe.
Then paper
there's-
backup, just in case.
And
we
definitely
have-
paper forms.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Just in case.
Yep. So Bridget, what's your thought?
Thank you. This is just from my own personal experience recently. Because I don't know these events very well. Sorry, my first question would be, do we have any say in where our booths will be at these events? I'm just not familiar with a lot of them.
I'm looking at Catherine.
I imagine no, only from my experience. Previous to this role, I spent a lot of time in economic development and tourism, and usually they have a specific area where the vendors go.
Right.
So I know that at Calypso, they have a community partner area, which is going to be near the Port Stanley Library. So I imagine maybe in that little parkette, kind of in that area. And the fairs, I also think that they have designated spots where they have vendors go. I know the Elmer Fair often, I haven't been in a while, well, there hasn't been one, but it's often sort of, there's kind of an anonymous, like an alley where the curling club is, and it used to be a grandstand, and there's a washroom. That's often where they put
Yeah.
vendors. So I think that
They're usually all grouped.
they usually are
together.
grouped together.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Go ahead, Bridget.
my second thought to that would be, I was just asking because if we would be around food, and my other thought to that would be is because of cash flow. And the question I'm asking is if we can raise $150 at these locations. And my experience would be if there's enough cash flow potentially by the food, just this is me, is yes, I would say that we could probably get $150 worth from potential if we're by some sort of food or cash.
Right, right. No, that's a good point, and we'll see. We may not have a say specifically, but I wouldn't be surprised if things were fairly grouped in terms of vendors, including food vendors. Yeah, Jamie, you were
We
going to,
have a canopy.
so that's another item.
Because we don't want to be standing in the hot sun
So
all
we
day.
won't be in the goal is to not be in the sun. So, Pete, did you have an opinion on whether you think we can raise $150 per event?
If you can't raise $150, there's no point in being there, but it's not a unsurmountable goal. If you, and again, the cash point was a good point. Even if you had like a cookie jar type thing where
Yeah.
people could put in like a tip, like a $5 or $10 bill,
Yeah.
that all adds up.
Yeah. So that would be my suggestion, is to have a jar, definitely like a donation box for cash, as well as paper forms, as well as an electronic form with an iPad that has data. And we may also be able to access the Square, right?
That's true.
So the Square is a
You
separate,
debit.
and yeah. So, so we'll confirm that, but that was something we had discussed with finance, and I believe the county owns that machine, like has an account. And we use it at the gala, did we? Yes, and that worked well. So, yeah, so assuming we
Have to
can,
teach us how to.
yes, so we'll need a little support, Jenna.
Want to come to each event, Jenna?
So maybe the meeting, before the first event, like we need a little training, but, so yeah, so assuming we have, we could take a check in the donation box, but we could, and then plus credit card or debit card. Does the Square take debit card? Yes, okay. Okay,
The Square does need Wi-Fi though, right?
right, so we'd have to figure out where the data is coming from, and so ideally you need the iPad perhaps to connect through, okay.
We do have a hotspot.
Okay,
I don't know how strong it is. Sometimes.
Right. Depending where in the county we will be, okay. So if we go with the premise that we have good access and diversity of types of donation, any other comments on the, perhaps then going for all items that are on here, And let me add the twist of the canopy.
Canopy, table, chair.
Yes, so tables and chairs, I think are,
Sometimes are provided, not always.
right, so the county has enough portable tables and chairs.
Okay.
The canopy, however, I believe there's the one that's available will be used if the Economic Development Tourism has a booth, it will be in use. So I would suggest that we need one for sure. But what I'm wondering is, remember at some point, we talked about approaching some of our retailers like Canadian Tire, like Home Hardware, but things like paint and stuff were not, they weren't the right items because they needed to be purchased from a specific supplier. So I'm wondering if something like the canopy, if someone knows anyone, you know, the managers, owners of those stores, and that could be a specific item that's maybe not too much to ask. I think we looked at $250 or something for a basic canopy, or maybe somebody on the committee already has one that you want to loan to the campaign. But what are your thoughts on the committee? Because I think we should go after a donation from across the county. I would like to think that one Canadian Tire, one Home Hardware, or other retailers would be able to donate that. What are your thoughts? Tanya?
I think too, at the homes, we may have,
nice.
a couple smaller portable ones. And I know that if we did buy some larger ones, but they're very large, so we actually probably need to buy a couple smaller ones. So, if, you know, that is an option from our end, because we do use them for outside,
Okay.
you know, events and things like that. So if you need one, I'm sure that we can provide that.
Perfect. Okay. Great. So I think we can still use that as a, you know, kind of a discussion entry, you know, discussion with some of our local retailers who haven't had a chance to or haven't been asked to contribute specifically. And then we know we have a fallback that would fit probably in your own operating budget. So it would not impact the campaign. Wonderful. Okay. Jim.
At Elmer Fair, will we not be able to be inside the curling club for a
Quite
booth?
possibly. Again, I think we just need to be prepared because I don't know how much in advance we will know exactly where everybody is, where all the vendors are. They might even give us an option or, yeah. So I think it would be good to have it as a kit, as part of our kit. But yeah, good point. Okay, so we have a canopy. And this, you know, magnets, bookmarks, a flag, and a few copies of the catalog. The last item, we talked about having potentially an activity for kids, or, you know, something to do also to attract people to our booth and giving us a bit of time for a conversation as well, potentially. So I did inquire, I had heard that the St. Thomas Elgin Public Arts Center did create some art kits, so like craft art kits for kids. And they've used them at different like Christmas market or like nostalgia nights. And so they gave me one sample that I'll circulate around, but the idea is everything is in one bag and it's fairly simple. They said that other than labor, basically it cost them about $1 per kit. Like once you buy everything in bulk, so you keep it simple with, you know, 1 or 2 crayons. In this case, it's just pencils, because it was an actual craft. It's something that you can make, and with just paper printed. There's a plastic pouch, and then it's just stapled at the top. So that concept, I think, could, financially, I think is doable. For example, if us as committee members, as volunteers, we could assemble a few for, and again, we could set a number per event. We don't need to supply. We can say we're making 100 per event and that's it. Maybe seek donations for that as well. But I wondered if the residents would be interested even in making those kits, if that's something like if we prepare all the papers, like we have all the supplies, like just assembling them, stapling them, putting them in the box, and that kind of provides a bit of interaction in some ways for the residents to contribute to the fundraising campaign. What are your thoughts? Again, I know Bridget earlier, I think, had a nice suggestion on what the craft could be. I'll put this over to you, Jane, if you want to have a quick look. But just theoretically, like that idea of providing kit, and you know, something for kids to walk away with, does that interest you? Do you think that would be of value? Bridget?
Absolutely. I love, I think that something as simple as that and engaging your residents, and then on the other side of it, the kids can contributing. I know that I was sharing with Dominique is that if there was a potential of a personal touch with maybe residences, and she identified this first names so that it could be if they wanted to write a greeting card, as you mentioned, I had just mentioned like a coloring book or a drawing, and so it's sort of, as you identified, just like that nice transaction. So I think it's a great idea.
Yes.
The concern would be how much space do we have? How long would it take them to do it?
Right.
And how much space do we have available for them to do it? Because if, pardon?
For the residents?
For the kids.
No, for the,
Initially, yeah.
the purpose
Yeah, 'cause
is
it's too-
for the kids to have something to do
Yeah.
before we talk to the parent. So how long is it going to take them to do it? And what space do we have for them to do it in?
Yeah, and I would, and it's good to sort of think through the logistics, 'cause that's a very good point. I was almost picturing them not necessarily doing it at, you know, at our booth, because we don't want to necessarily turn into a, but yeah, perhaps they take it home, perhaps they do it somewhere else. Let's say they go sit to have their lunch, and it's sort of something to do, or there's a show and, you know, something to keep their hands busy, so they could come back and drop it off at our booth, or drop it off later. So the idea was to respect privacy was, what if we had a list of just first names? Like, here are all the residents of at Terrace Lodge, and then they can, you know, here's a greeting to Tanya from, you know, Dominique, and then they can draw something and drop it off, and trying to kind of create that connection between the residents and the community. Tanya. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry, I missed the last meeting, but what you're saying now kind of answered my question, because I was thinking along the lines of, we create a coloring page of the home or of the campaign, but I see what you're saying now. It's they're coloring something for the residents. That makes sense to me too. So that's all. Kind of answered the question through the conversation.
Yes. It could be a drawing from like a coloring page with our logo, like it's a comforts of home, which kind of reminds me of like we've talked before about, you know, those different campaigns at Shoppers Drug Mart, or where the balloons, like the air balloons or something, are colored by kids with their names. Kind of that idea. So it could be a standardized, it could be our logo that gets colored by kids, and then it can be dropped off with a note to a resident, and we can supply them with just a list of first names.
Mhm. Another thing that this would be more complicated, but they have like, I know that they've done a few projects at the homes where if the children were to color something, we can take a picture of all that coloring and we can make an art out of that as well. Like there's different things you can do when children color, and we can kind of use that as something obviously for the residents, but for the home too. Anyway, like a memory of the Comforts of Home campaign.
I was gonna say, if our piece of, we want colored, what if it was the house?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Our logo, right? So
Yeah.
we print it in black and white.
And get the kids to
And then
color
the
it.
kids to color it. And I'm wondering also if we could encourage them to then drop it off, if they take it home, drop it off at their library. Which then we could use our, what am I trying to say, like the mail. Do you know what I mean? And then send them all to the home. And as Tanya said, like we can then make a collage of like all the kids colored. And it sends, another piece that obviously would have our logo and our website and, donate and so it could be very, very simple. Just a pouch with a couple, 2 or 3 crayons, and then just take it home so they can come back, drop it off at the booth, or say, drop it off at your library. And we will make sure that your greeting card gets to the resident. Yeah?
That would make, if it was sort of like a coloring page,
Yeah.
would make assembly very easy.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. And Tanya,
It didn't have to be as big.
no,
As-
we could pare it down from the
Like half
the
the
sample.
half.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
way simpler.
And then if you put in a couple of crayons.
Yeah,
Put it together.
yeah,
They get together and
Yeah.
Halloween and fill Halloween bags and
yeah,
so. They can
Great.
definitely do it, yeah.
And you could put, then it gets into more cost. You could put a flyer for the campaign, art bag to go to. the
yeah, we
parents.
could see if we could, maybe, yeah, I was thinking of that, because there is a flyer in this, sample that I'm circulating for those online, there is, in this case, there's a flyer about the Public Arts Center. So perhaps if we printed, like a cheaper version, like not the fancy glossy
on the-
cardstock, like just regular paper.
Yeah.
With a few items and like a list of items that we're looking to purchase. So very simple kit, and I think that would be, if you think the residents would put it together, Bridget?
Do like an assembly.
Yeah.
Just a question. Is the magnets and the bookmarks, are they colorable as well, or is that just going to be a standard? And the only reason why I say this, and I like the idea of the coloring theme so much, is just because adult coloring books are like massively popular too. And so I think that there would be a good marriage there in some just nice recreational.
Hmm. Oh, interesting. So the bookmark could be in black and white, and so we could invite just as something to keep our. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I love the idea when Tanya mentioned it's just the Comfort for Home campaign, and I love the idea of just keeping in the same vein of that, and if there was like common theme of being able to participate in it too. Just an option though. I was just curious if it was even an
Yeah.
option. I don't know what the cost would be though.
Right. I mean, in some ways it would be cheaper if you're printing the bookmark in black and white instead of the sort of full, like a glossier version. But thoughts? So we're gonna try to keep the kit fairly simple, and particularly I'm thinking if the events are attended by economic development and they have a van, like with their, like, where they, that they use to bring their equipment, so then they could carry our stuff too. Otherwise, we'll also have to plan for, like, it has to be fairly manageable. I'm thinking like a bin, plus the canopy, plus a couple of
Somebody has to
easels.
carry
And
it.
so we have to carry that, so we'll make sure there's a checklist. And Tanya? You're on mute? Yeah.
Sorry. Well, this is just one little last question about the comforts of home and then the coloring page. If we did go that route, I was just curious. I know it's fairly simple to find programs to make a photo or a logo into a coloring page, but I know that the residents would also probably really enjoy that, because similar to what Bridget mentioned about like the adult coloring is really popular in the homes. It's popular in all 3 homes. So that might be something that we would want to order for the homes as well, for the residents. We do coloring contests. They're really popular at Terrace Lodge. People like a little competition, but they also love the adult coloring. So as long as it's, yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that if we're going that route, that might be something that might be beneficial across the board. Anyway.
I think that's a great idea. Once it's created, we can just print as many as we want. It's fairly simple and black and white. And it would be neat to have them mix if you end up with a wall that has greeting cards from kids and, from the residents, and like to mix them up. It's nice and lively, right? Okay.
We had also spoken that I would try and get us some glitter tattoos.
Yes.
I'm talking to Shelley right now.
Yes.
She said she would be happy to. I told her there's 6 events in total. My daughter will do the Almer Fair on the Sunday. I know that.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about other events.
Okay.
So she wants to know how many hours we'd be looking at. So, I don't know how many, if she only did Sunday at the fair, would it be 6 hours?
I'm also thinking, like, my first reaction is whatever hours she would donate.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because I don't,
Whatever.
whatever, this is life planning.
Really?
Because I don't think we're going to announce a schedule, for example, where there would be huge disappointment where we said, well, oh, tattoos are gone. So because I don't think it will be advertised anywhere, but if somebody comes and maybe during that time, we don't give away greeting cards, like we can do give one thing to one family. I can't imagine we would do a tattoo and here's a coloring kit and here's a bookmark and here's a magnet, like per household. As the volunteers, we could decide, like per family, like, oh, like they don't have kids, or you want a fridge magnet, and what do you think? So we could, do you know what I mean? Like if this wonderful person is there and willing to do that, then maybe we do that instead of the coloring.
Yeah.
So that way we have different things at different times, and we, keep the resources reasonable.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I would say whatever she can donate. Tanya.
Then we have to get Carrie to do it.
Yes.
Then she'll be willing to do.
Yeah, and if she doesn't, then we know we have the coloring kit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Tanya?
Well, just as a side, just food for thought, we do have one of those like roulette wheel kind of things that if you wanted to do it as kind of a little like see what you get, it draws attention anyway, the wheel.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I don't know that just throwing it out there that it's food for thought. It draws a little attention. It's just colors on the wheel, so you can put whatever you want on the wheel.
Right.
But anyway, we
So
do
if it's
have one.
blue, you get a fridge magnet. If it's red, you get
a tattoo. Or if you wanted to have a few brand prizes, you could have them there, right? Something a little more, and because the chances of getting it, obviously not everybody's going to win that. But I'm just throwing it out there because we do have one of those.
Okay. Well, I would say, since I think we're all a bit rookies in doing this would be, to me, it's like the advanced version of the booth for pros and people who know how to manage crowds. Because I've seen like the best intention gone wrong, like just go awry, just because kids get excited, and it actually can be, and not just kids that get very excited, and then there's some elbows that start, happening, and Yeah, I worked with, at TVO and with TVO Kids, and that when the word would spread that there was something happening at one booth, and we almost had like needed major like crowd control, and so yeah. So I think for our, I love all these ideas, and I think for our first booth, like let's see, like what is the reaction? Like will anyone come to our booth and talk to us? And then we can see how we add interaction. We can graduate to another level.
And you've got to carry it to that
Well,
event.
yeah, there's that too. There's the logistics of carrying and awesome. Okay.
I just have a question. Can you give me the wording to give to her on how she'll get her receipt? Something, I need to let her know that she will get a receipt for her donation. But you, how does it work? You,
The invoice needs to be
Yeah.
submitted.
she needs to submit an
Yeah,
invoice.
so you treat it as
And
two
that-
separate
yes, yes.
transactions.
So
you
she
would
submits the
invoice.
invoice, you pay the invoice, and then
and
she
then she
donates
donates.
it back.
That's
It's kind of hard to put in the text.
So yeah, so we can work out the.
I will
logistic,
put,
but we'd say-
I will explain later.
Awesome.
Put it on paper right now.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest that we pass one motion that captures all of these decisions in the sense that we're going to go to 6 events. We're going to have a banner, bookmarks, magnets, a coloring kit, catalog, and a canopy, forms, paper forms, donation box, and electronic means as much as possible to donate. Couple of easels, blank check, the square sort of sign that we have from the campaign. Plus or minus, I think that would be the kit. And whoever's volunteering at the booth would then donate, like this would be a kind of a basket of items that we have to donate, and we would pre-set the amount per event per day and spread it out during the day, or per household, as per your judgment.
Now for the coloring books. So you got 5 children.
Yeah,
Other how you
we'll
can't
keep it simple.
you have to
I-
give to each of them.
Yeah, I think if a family comes with 5 children, and they each want one, then, because sometimes there would be some kids who say that, I don't want that, like, I want something else.
Yeah.
On
their age.
And exactly, depends on the age.
I know that a lot of the time when stores and different charities and organizations give out a coloring contest per se, they don't actually give the crayons or the markers with it.
No,
Just
that's
give,
True.
just give the poster or the blank coloring sheet. So
So
in
we,
that case, if we
Keeps our
decided
costs-
to do that and keep
Yeah.
our costs down, it might not matter if they wanted 5 sheets.
that's right, we can give as many sheets as, okay. Well, I will and I will follow up with the Public Arts Center just to see where they got some of their supplies, and just, because I think if we can make it, there's something to be said about making it a little sturdy in this, to make sure that people actually keep it and take it home. Do you know what I mean? If it's just a piece of paper, it
they're
will
not going.
get,
It's gonna get.
it'll get wet and crinkled, and so there's something about that, but I agree that then you may not need to include pencils, or because they'll have that at home. But a little package that may at least help with the odds of it making it home and then making it back to the home. Understanding that the fine tuning of all these details will be worked out, and it will be worked out in time for July 29th at or whichever date we finalize for Port Stanley. Calypso will be our first event. Any other comments or questions, concerns, or are we ready to pass a motion to go ahead with our booth, our fundraising booth, as our little adventure as a committee? You willing to support that, or do you have comments before we vote? Okay, so I'll entertain mover and seconder to proceed with the booth as discussed. Bridget moves. Do I have a seconder? Jamie? And let's do the vote.
Amaryllis Drouillard.
Oh, she's absent.
Pete Barber.
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin.
Yes.
Jamie Chapman.
Yes.
Kay Haynes. Jim Jenkins.
Yes.
Bridget
Yes.
Clark, Bridget Clark Carmichael.
Yes.
Councillor Jiguer.
Yes.
7-0, the motion is carried.
Excellent, thank you. Very exciting.
When is Calypso Days, did you say?
It's, the official dates go from July 29th to August 1st. So it's 4 days, but we don't have to attend. I would actually, so is that Thursday to Sunday? Is that?
I think it's till Monday. It's long.
Oh, is that the long weekend?
Are we going to have time enough to get things ready for that?
I was gonna say, it's almost here.
Yes,
Today's the 18th.
yes. So that's why, so the Elmer Express, at least with their quote, that was the timing. I said, we needed the quote today to make sure that the committee could discuss and there would be enough production time. So they've assured me that it's a yes if we proceed. And I think, and the kits, I think that, so I will take the lead, and like I said, I'll loop back with the art center and then with Tanya and the auxiliary to make this happen. So I think, and we'd only have to make a few batches at a time for each event. So I'm confident that we can pull this off. And as far as Calypso, we should clarify. So yes, so August 1st is the long weekend, is Monday. And I believe the fee is per day. So probably my recommendation would be, at a minimum, we would do Sunday, Monday, but we could do Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Or what are your thoughts? Do you want to do Saturday and Sunday? And I know right now, I know Jim volunteered for the Monday. I know I can do the Sunday. We didn't have any volunteers for Saturday, so that would be another, Bridget?
I just need to find out my schedule. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying that I might be available for the Saturday, correct?
Yes, so the
Okay.
Saturday is the 30th, yeah. And actually, what I'm thinking, if it is our first event, I will actually be able to go to help with the setup. I don't know that I will, because I will be juggling people at home too, and some out of town guests and stuff. But I can. It's not too far from me, so I can go. I can help for a few hours. So, so other than Bridget and myself, sort of in and out, are anybody else available that weekend? And that's okay. We'll just plan accordingly. So at a minimum, we'll register for 2 days, like Sunday and Monday.
And there is no vendor fee.
Oh, there isn't?
I confirmed today with
Oh, nice.
Central Elgin.
Okay,
Because they no longer have a vendor area. They are it's a community volunteer showcase area.
great.
And because there are community groups who aren't selling, there is no vendor.
Nice. Yes, because initially it was $50 per day plus a vendor, $100 for a vendor permit, and you're saying there's no vendor permit. Okay. Okay. So did we have a mover and seconder, or do we?
And we called the
Yeah,
vote.
we called the vote. Okay. So we'll catch you up. Okay, great, exciting. We will, I think we will be able to pull this off in time for Calypso, and we'll confirm whether we, like I said, at a minimum, Sunday, Monday, we'll be there. Okay, so next on the agenda,
Dominique,
yes, Jim,
Dominique?
yes, go ahead.
Yes, could you forward us the, by email, the days that we're to be there, the times and that sort of thing?
For sure, for sure. Yes, there will
Thank
definitely,
you.
yeah. What I'm envisioning, and with, you know, Jenna and or Catherine, depending on the timing, I'm picturing a very specific schedule with all the instructions, but also like the checklist, and then even deciding where's the kit and who picks up the kit, and is it tourism who brings it, or is it one of us who has to go pick it up at the county, for example? So for each event, there would be a very detailed email, like who's going to be there at what time. So yes,
Yeah.
sure. Okay, well, thank you for being willing to do this. Like I said, I think it will be fun to finally be out there and promoting the campaign in the community. So, I'm conscious of the time. This was a huge piece, so we'll just say for today that everybody's still on board with, we won't get into the details today, but we said that one event that we could consider for late, actually early November, we considered a combo of an event that would be used to recognize the committee as it will be officially dissolved and probably be reappointed afterwards, but recognize the committee, recognize donors, and launch the Christmas catalog. Kind of all that at once, and give like a boost to the campaign. If everybody's in favor, in principle, then once we get the booth started, then we can start looking at the details and perhaps make that the topic of at our next meeting, more of the, what do we want this event to be, and where, and what does it look like? And everybody's in favor. I think, did we vote on that last time? I think to pass to, yeah. So with your permission, we'll just skip, like, we won't do another motion at this point because we're still in agreement, but I think for the sake of time, we'll discuss the details and brainstorm ideas at another meeting. The telethon, so Richard is committed, as you recall, to figure out a proposal for today. The only thing I would ask, are there any other questions that have come up that you want Richard to consider as part of his proposal? If not, we can also skip that item and wait for Richard's update. Everybody's good? I think the only thing I thought of, I think we discussed it after we ended the meeting, was I was curious to ask how many subscribers they were. So I think at the meeting we asked where the subscribers were and are, and she did mention the different municipalities, which some of which are within the county or close. But then I also wondered about numbers. So are we talking dozens, hundreds, thousands? Because really, if you don't have access, if you're not subscribed, you're not going to see that. So to me, I think the number would help us determine our cost relative to how many eyes are actually going to see this and hear this, all the pieces that would be produced. Because yeah, I'm still enthusiastic. Like it seems like such a good idea. But yeah, so that's one question we'll add to Richard's proposal. Other than that, we'll wait and see. And the only other update then, so 7.4 and 7.5, is the Springfield Swans are offering to dedicate their next roast beef dinner, which would be April of 2023, perhaps April 22nd or 29th. So that's to be confirmed. And I said I would check with the committee if that was of interest, and then we would, anyone who's available would also help out that evening with anything that needs to be done to, roll up our sleeves and also, and then be out there like to promote. And I believe they are planning probably a drive-through, regardless of restrictions. It appears to be working very well. People enjoy that, but I think that detail is also to be confirmed. I'd like to do a resolution for the Swans dinner, that this committee is interested in moving forward and partnering with the Springfield Swans for a roast beef dinner in April of 2023, date to be confirmed. Can I have a mover and seconder to endorse that? A Marilys, okay. And the vote. Oh, lots of movers and seconders and shakers.
Amaryllis Drouillard,
Yes.
Pete Barber. Did we hear Pete?
Think you're
I
muted.
think he's muted.
Sort of read my lips, I think is what he said.
Ruth Ann Karen,
Yes.
Jamie Chapman,
Yes.
Kay Haynes.
Yes.
Jim Jenkins,
Yes. Yes.
Bridget Clark Carmichael,
Yes.
Councillor Jiguer.
Yes.
8-0, the motion is carried.
Thank you. I will let them know. The other item I put on the agenda is simply their offer. They have run successful online auctions and via Facebook, and they have offered to assist us. So still, it would be our auction, but in terms of how to do it, how to get it organized, and so they've figured out all the details. So they're quite willing to train us, support us, and it is a possibility. We have a Facebook presence, and so if I was curious to know if you have any interest, it doesn't have to be this fall, or I think, between the events and a donor recognition, it could be something perhaps we do
The new year.
maybe in the winter when, things are a little quieter and everybody would rather shop from home and do an auction from home. Is that something you want to keep sort of in our basket of strategies for perhaps for future discussion?
Because it means going out and asking for more.
Yes.
For items this time,
Yes.
instead of dollars, it means
That's
going
right.
out and ask for items. So some of those that weren't willing to donate dollars may be willing to donate
Give them an
items.
opportunity to
Yes.
contribute.
Yes, and then they can promote their business, and yeah, so it could be a nice activity for that sort of February kind of,
I've had two that way. That would donate something.
yeah, if we
But
had
no
an
money.
option.
but no
Okay,
Money.
there you go. So there's a good
February
fit.
is actually a good time because people, they've got over their January bills and they're bored.
Yeah.
So it's a good time.
Create a little excitement.
And there's not a lot happening other than Valentine's and
Family
family
days,
days. Just
yeah.
make sure you avoid those.
Nice. Okay, so we'll keep it on the agenda when the time, the only thing I'll find out is how much planning it takes, like how many months ahead of time. And I'll seek her advice. This is Kelly Pearson of Springfield Swans. And based on her answer on how much, runway we need to take off, then we'll bring it back at the right time for this committee. Nice.
And the thing is, if we knew that we were going to do it, we could take and ask people now for a donation and just
That's true.
put it
Just set it
aside if we know we're going to do it.
Well, what do you think? Should we vote on whether this is an event, the date is to be determined. We think in the winter, but let's see if everyone's in favor of going ahead with this kind of fundraiser, because I agree with you, then anytime now, if you have an opportunity and you come across somebody who would like to donate an item for an auction, then why not accept it?
If they don't want to give money donation, then
Yeah.
maybe they could donate something else.
Yeah, towards a fundraising event, yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, let's do that. So resolution that this committee agrees to pursue an online auction as one of its fundraising strategies, and that committee members, the date to be determined, but committee members can begin to collect items towards this auction.
Or if you're worried about not having a date yet, you could tell them that it's in the future, and if they'd like to wait, we could have a running list
Right.
of people that would like to donate.
Yeah. So the idea
have
would
an
be to,
Can we have an amendment to that and agree in principle?
yes.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and that way, so the idea of passing the resolution now would simply to be that we don't miss out on any opportunities, and you come across a donor who has an interesting idea for something they'd like to donate, and but everybody would be comfortable that, yes, this will happen, the details will be determined. Okay. Are we good? So then could I get a mover and seconder with the motion as amended? To say that we can, even though the date is not determined, the committee members have permission to start collecting auction, even if it's a running list, even if it's not the item itself. Mover and seconder. Emeralds. Ruth Ann. And the vote.
Amaryllis Drouillard,
Yes.
Pete Barber,
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin,
Yes.
Jamie Chapman,
Yes.
Kay Haynes.
Yes.
Jim Jenkins,
Yes,
Bridget Clark Carmichael,
Yes.
Counselor Jiguer,
Yes.
8-0, the motion is carried.
Thank you. Another exciting. You'd think that in the summer, sometimes everything slows down, and here we are, just revving up for the next 6 months. I love it. Other business? Anything else? Should discuss right now? Correspondence? Do we have any? None? So let's briefly move into closed session. Just to give a quick update on our donor outreach and funding strategy. Mover and seconder to move into closed session, please. Jamie? Jim? Vote.
Amaryllis Drouillard,
Yes.
Pete Barber,
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin,
Yes.
Jamie Chapman,
Yes.
Kay Haynes.
Yes.
Jim Jenkins,
yes.
Bridget Clark Carmichael,
Yes.
Counselor Jiguer,
Yes.
8-0, the motion is carried.
Okay. We're out of closed sessions. Can I have a motion to rise and report in closed session? Jim? Seconder? Amaryllis? And the vote.
Amaryllis Drouillard,
Yes.
Pete Barber,
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin,
Yes.
Jamie Chapman,
Yes.
Kay Haynes.
Yes.
Jim Jenkins,
Yes,
Bridget Clark Carmichael,
Yes.
Counselor Jiguer,
Yes.
8-0, the motion is carried.
And the next resolution is to receive the donor outreach update and to proceed as directed. And I have a mover and seconder. Jamie, Ruth Ann, and the vote.
Amaryllis Drouillard,
Yes.
Pete Barber,
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin,
Yes.
Jamie Chapman,
Yes.
Kay Haynes, Jim Jenkins,
Yes.
Bridget Clark Carmichael,
Yes.
Counselor Jiguer,
Yes.
8-0, the motion is carried.
Thank you for that. So the date of the next meeting, what do you think? Should we be looking at August 15th? So it could be interesting if by then we would have done 2 events. We would have done Calypso and Aylmer Fair, and we could debrief and adjust. But I realize it's sort of peak, yeah, it's kind of peak summer. What are your thoughts? August 15th, or I know, so Marilis cannot attend, but are others around?
Yeah.
Yeah? Ruth Ann, yeah? Yeah, okay. Jim, Pete? August 15th would be a good time to check in again?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Jim?
I think so.
Okay. And Bridget, do you think you might be available on the 15th?
I'm gonna give you a tentative yes.
Okay. So what we'll do is, I'm looking at Catherine, but it won't be you, right? So Jenna, so we'll do, and so please, please, please make sure you respond to that email, because it does make a huge difference for everybody else to determine, are we going ahead? Will we have quorum? Do we need to do an update or not? So we'll circulate, we'll wait a little while until everybody's plans sort of firm up, and then we'll send the invitation, and then we'll decide if we can meet or not, so. Okay, so then before, if there's nothing else, before I ask for a vote to adjourn, I want to wish
One-
farewell to Jim, yes?
Yes, I think we'd all like to join together, and with best wishes to Catherine and with the addition of her coming to her family. All the best.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. You've worked so hard to get us started, and so, you know, laid the ground for Jenna to continue, but you've been so appreciated. We will miss you. And yes, we definitely wish you the best, and hopefully you'll maybe pop on a call or something with the,
Oh, yeah.
with the baby.
I'll check in.
Check in, say hello, let us know how you're doing. And I know you won't be too far. Maybe we'll see you at events.
You might.
Come and visit our booth. All right. Well, thank you for everything and all the best.
Thank you.
Okay, so motion to adjourn. Jeannie. And Pete.
Amaryllis Drouillard,
Yes.
Pete Barber,
Yes.
Ruth Ann Perrin,
Yes.
Jamie Chapman,
Yes.
Kay Haynes, Jim Jenkins,
Yes.
Bridget Clark Carmichael,
Yes.
Counselor Jiguer.
Yes.
8-0, the motion is carried.
Thank you so much. Very excited to be out and about.